Okay, y'all, let's talk Neopets Year Two. So it's called Year 2, but really most of 2000 was still part of Neopets' first year of existence. It officially started in November of 1999, so even January of Year 2 was only a few months into the site's lifespan, and there were a lot of changes happening at the time. Neopets was taking a little bit of time to find its feet, which is interesting for a website with such a fast-growing user base. The sudden and unexpected success of the site led to swift shifts in the foundation, probably most famously the changing of pets from their original forms to something a little less copyright infringy. But it wasn't just cosmetic. A lot of features that we take for granted were added in this first year, like the safety deposit box, pet illnesses, bank interest, and of course, the addition of new lands and pets. A bunch of pets were just added to the site unceremoniously, releasing as the Neopets team came up with them, and being added to the Create a Pet page on some random Tuesday. A rare few of these, like the Piafin, like dolphin? Oh, okay, Piafin. The Piafin and Mohogs were limited edition, with only 1,000 being released initially, setting the stage for future limited edition pets. But one pet was introduced with a little bit more fanfare, and that was the Grundo. It might not seem like a big deal now, but the Grundo was released in the very first Neopets event on the site, making them kinda special, and we're gonna talk about it. Not the plot itself. You know how that went. As plots go, it's pretty simple, and you can find better recaps elsewhere. What I actually want to talk about is what happened during the plot. Because this event took place so long ago, there's very little information left on the web. Most of the official pages were taken down a few years after the event itself, like 5 or so from what I can find. And because I wasn't on the site yet, I wouldn't join until about a month later. All of my info is secondhand. I tried to find some folks to talk to who were there, but short of messaging every still active account made before August of Year 2, I had few options. But if you were there, Neo-mail me. I'd actually love to hear from you. Still, even though this was a month before my time, I remember people talking about it, and there is some info left, both on Neopets and off of it, on some well-known fan sites, and a few lesser-known ones. So this is the verbal history of what it was like to play the Neopets Virtupets plot. I might make mistakes, sorry if I do. There's a lot of contradicting info out there, but where I could, I relied on official pages. In August of 2000, the Neopets team started rolling out some of the key components for the event itself. The first was Mystery Island, then called Mystery Isle, which would play a major role in the player's side of events. Before the island itself, though, came the Totems. At the time, the ferry to Mystery Island required 3 wooden items called Totems, which could be found through random events on the site. With the island itself came a couple of new stores, stalls, and the Kugra, a tiger-themed pet native to the island, voted on by players a few weeks before. A few days after the release of the Totems, on August 15th, 2000, the site's news page announced the arrival of some big green monstrous-looking creatures called Grundos. Side note, I can't seem to be able to say that word without sounding like I have a horrible cold. Grundos. I don't know. We are told to stay away from them, but not much else about them. A cool futuristic-looking fairy appears next to the monster in the image. Who is she? Is she evil? No one knows. There is also a video that some have attributed to this day, but it doesn't appear on the news page at this time, and the page made specifically for the plot wouldn't go up until the next day. And that's when things really kick off. First, some mutant Grundos begin showing up in random events. You may have actually seen these events before. It seems like maybe they never got turned off after the event ended. Either way, as the day rolled on, we were introduced to the Space Fairy. She appeared on what would become the event page, which has since been lost to time. However, contemporary fan sites saved some of it for us. Because of this, I'm able to read some of the updates to y'all. The Space Fairy first appeared asking for our help. Please help. Please help. Neopets have been disappearing all over the place recently, and we are all so scared. It happened to me last night. My Chia and my Psy Bunny were stolen, and I have seen weird, scary, ugly monsters lurking around. What is happening? Please look around the site and try to work out what is happening. This was also when Dr. Sloth's shop popped up in Neopia Central. It was a Virtupets adoption agency, but at the time, it was unclear what that meant or how it related to the plot at all. Not long after her first appearance on the same day, the Space Fairy gives us an update. She's received a coded transmission from space, which looks like this. Looking at it, it's actually a pretty simple cipher, and I think nowadays, in the age of ARGs and other highly cooperative multiplayer events, we would have been expected to solve it ourselves. However, this was Neopets' first event, and our mission was a different one. So, elsewhere on Mystery Isle, now called Mystery Island, a new NPC had popped up. He was called the Island Mystic, and yeah, he really looked like that before he was made into a Kiri. Totally creepy. And he told us he needed code stones that had appeared all over the site to decode the message. However, it seems like Neopians weren't exactly up to the task at first. Getting a code stone was a random event, and remember, you needed 3 totems to get to Mystery Isle, which were also random events. And this was the first ever site event, so it's possible that some players just weren't even sure what was going on at this point and what to do. Because of this, it seems the turn-in on the code stones was pretty slow. Eventually, the event's page updates with a notice telling us that the Mystic hasn't received enough code stones, and the next day, the official site news chastises us. Island Mystic isn't very happy with the amount of code stones that have been donated, so he's reduced his price. Now he only needs 1,000 code stones. Shame on you all. Passive-aggressive smiley face. Wow, we suck. The next day, we received some news in the form of a report from Mr. Blue Maru. Mr. Blue Maru? Blue Maru. Mr. Blue Maru, also called the Newsaroo. I'm just going to call him Newsaroo. He reported on in-universe events during a number of early plots in the site. The first report was from a Psy Bunny named Miss Bunny. Listen, pet names were wide open back in those days, remember? You didn't have to be clever. Anyway, she tells the story of almost being taken by Dr. Sloth while shopping and being saved by a loot. The second was a video taken by some Neopians having a picnic when a giant spacecraft blocks out the sun, which links to this flash animation. We quickly find out this is the Virtupets space station run by Dr. Sloth. At this point, we don't know his plan for the Virtupet station, but there is some evidence to suggest that players already knew that the guy was up to no good here. While players are finding and donating code stones, we receive new Newsaroo, this time about previously kind and sweet Neopets turning monstrous. News just in. Several once faithful pets throughout Neopia have transformed into vicious beasts. The first account for this was from Glad to Be Insane. What a name.
Last night, after feeding her Loop, glad to be her other Neopet, she let him out for his evening stroll. An hour passed, and he still had not returned. She went outside to search for her normally punctual pet, when suddenly something she described as a huge horned demon came snarling around the corner. Terrified, she ran into her house and called the Neopian authorities. The beast was eventually captured and is currently being held at the pound.
The second bit of news.
Earlier this morning, there was a strange sighting. A pack of Aishas were playing a game of
Shakla?
in the forest when they heard this strange rumbling from the bushes. They crept over to investigate, and when they saw what was hiding, they ran as fast as their little legs could carry them. They were found by the soup fairy, huddled together shivering on the edge of the forest. She took them in and fed them warm broth to recover from fear. Below is a sketch of what they claim to have seen. It appeared to be similar to an Aisha, but far more terrible than any Aisha ever seen in Neopia.
Can I just say that I love this? If Non-Distinct turned into this big red demon thing, I would be so freaking pumped. Later in the day, Sloth sends out his broadcast telling everyone to adopt Virtupets. It's basically just to cement him as a real villain. He talks shit on your Neopets, he calls them puny and pathetic, and tells you to abandon them. He also has a postscript in his broadcast telling us not to try and decode his message, which I love. If you didn't want us to read it, then why did you send it, Sloth? Well, my only guess is maybe it was from his diary, because the next day we finally decode the message. I guess he just wanted to send his secret out into the void, in the universe, message in a bottle style, because it says,
"Here is my secret. There are no Virtupets. Those are merely my designs for the new Neopets. My transformation ray will soon destroy their cuteness. I will not fail. Evil will triumph. The gun on my space station is aiming at Neopia now. I just need a few more days.
Love, Dr. Sloth. Okay, it doesn't say love, but why would he sign it? So it turns out that all those mutant pets popping up all over Neopia are the Virtupets. Kinda weird, but like, okay, dude. Now we know Sloth's plan, so we can stop it. Players can now use a new page, the Launchpad, to reach the space station. Once there, they discover that the space fairy has been taken captive by Sloth after trying to confront him, and can only regain her powers once Neopians adopt and free 20,000 of the slave Grundos. This is easily the best part of the plot. We get this amazing comic of how Sloth captured and mutated the Grundos. I mean, just look at it. And then we get to adopt these cool alien-looking pet dudes. It's cool to get to help liberate an enslaved race of little alien guys. I approve. Anyway, Neopians seem to have a lot less trouble adopting a cute new pet than they did with the code stones. So the very next day, the site was updated, saying that 20,000 Grundos had been freed. The pages showing the end of the plot have since been removed, but we still have the flash files and a transcript of the contents. Sloth is about to fire the mutation ray, but the space fairy turns it on him at the last second and it fires on itself. It destroys the gun and, presumably, Dr. Sloth, for now, but leaves the space station intact. The Grundos soon take it over. From the site, the mutation ray has been destroyed, along with Dr. Sloth and all his vile minions. All of Neopia celebrates. This says celebrates, but I think that's wrong. But many now wonder what will become of the abandoned station that now is in orbit around Neopia. Has Dr. Sloth truly been destroyed? Whatever the answer, Neopia is safe for the time being, and all Neopets know that when evil rears its ugly head, they will be ready, whatever the cost. The end? You would be forgiven for thinking that this was all there was to the story, but wait, there's one more addition. Remember me mentioning limited edition pets earlier? Well, 4 days after the event ended, the news page unceremoniously announces that a bunch of mohogs were discovered living in the space station and are now a standard edition pet. The end! This first plot was really simple and kind of hilarious in its bumpy execution. But I mean that with so much love. I think it's clear the team had a lot of fun with it. It's obviously such a cool way to introduce the new species of pet, but more than that, it was the first time players felt like they were contributing to the story of Neopets in a meaningful way. While the team had been taking suggestions for some time, and players were encouraged to vote in polls to determine new appearances for pets, and even some new species of pets, this gave Neopians something to ground them in the lore of the game. I imagine having a Grundo that was part of those initial 20,000 freed Grundos felt pretty dang cool. Later events would give players trophies to cement their place in the storyline, and that's pretty cool, but having a pet to show for your hard work really can't be beat. There were no real rewards for completing the plot, at least not for specific accounts. But everyone now had access to the VirtuPet space station, which had a couple of shops, a new Codebreakers game, RIP, and of course, an Adopt a Pet spot to get your very own Grundo in case you missed it the first time round. Oh, and anyone can get a Mohawk now, of course. I hope y'all like this style of video. There will be more account updates coming very soon. I'm just really interested in the older history of Neopets, and I enjoy hunting down old fan sites to find out these little details, like the Newsaroo newscasts, which I could only find on one site. Shout out to the awesome Sloth's Empire for what I can only assume was copy and pasting the original event page straight to their site. If you guys liked it and want to see more, please leave a comment or a like. I got a lot more Neopets stuff planned for the future, so you just keep an eye out for that. And until next time, I hope y'all have a great day.